Hello everyone, this is Plankara, and welcome to my universe. Today, we're going to continue rigging Shalom from Path to Nowhere. As always, my future self is a bit pickier than my past self, so I see a few things in the front bang that I want to fix up. Pretty normal. I tend to always miss a thing or two on my first pass through. First is a little highlight over here. It's getting kind of squished together, bunched up, and it's actually affecting the big highlight down here, which I also think needs a little bit of work. It does look like it's just kind of all getting a little bit scrunched together around here. So I'm going to try to spread some things out and give all these little vertices a little bit more personal space. Just trying to get the shape right here. So let's see, we have this little one right here, and then this big one over here. Those are the areas that I'm looking at right now. And I think getting those right will help me figure out what I need to do for this tunnel area as well. So I'm going to start there. See how much of that I can get looking the way I want. Fix up the highlight around here. And there we go. Alright. And Inktober continues. 3 more illustrations. The countdown is really on. So today's theme is Navigator. Which, you know, is just asking me to do more space stuff, so you'll probably get a nice moon silhouette and some stars and very pretty things like that. Should be a fun one. After all, any excuse to draw space is a good excuse. Space is pretty cool. But perhaps I'm a little bit biased. I gotta say, I really am looking forward to getting out of all of this hair. It's just so much hair. It feels like it never ends. It's so pretty though, so I want to make sure it looks really good. The dilemma of being an artist. Wanting to escape the hair hell, but being like, but the hair is pretty, and I want it to be pretty. This is why I will never be free. And it's okay. I get a bunch of pretty hair out of it, so I guess it's okay. But with Inktober almost over, I've been finding myself feeling a little bit less tired. I suppose drawing that many speed paints every day was starting to take a little bit of a toll on me, but I kind of expected that when I went into it. Because it's quite a marathon. I guess that's why they made variants of the half marathon and then the, what they call it, a 5K, where you post something once a week instead of once a day. And I was doing that for a while too. And actually, I still plan to put up a new speed paint every week. I've been having a good enough experience with the whole thing that I do plan to do it weekly, and I think that will be a little bit more manageable for me. Because honestly, the hardest part of doing speed paints every day isn't doing the speed paint. It's not having time to do anything else. I've got a few other things I want to draw too. And the picture for the Path to Nowhere anniversary event being among them, of course, but just other things in general. My brain is full of ideas, and there's just not enough time to do them all. So that has honestly been the hardest part. That said, I do think it'll be a good idea for me to take a couple of days off from art once November comes. Just because speed painting is different from just painting normally. When I'm painting normally, I can allow myself to get distracted. Everything is fine if I get a little bit distracted here and there. But when I'm speed painting, it's actually pretty bad if I get distracted, because it means I won't finish it in time. Or I'll have to rush the end. It's a bit tricky though, because I don't know exactly how much time I have. I can only kind of estimate. And one time my estimation was a bit off and my daughter woke up. But to be fair, she got up early that day, so... She was pretty okay with letting me finish, but I did get a bit distracted during that speed paint. It was the one recently with the nice mountains, where I had the mountains and then the girl holding up her fingers and making a little viewport out of it and having the area within her fingers be colored in. That one. My daughter actually woke up near the end of that. So I kind of had to rush through the texturing and making sure that everything was good there. Would have been nice to spend a little bit more time on it, but I did not have the time, so... It is what it is. And that's why I try to get all the really important parts down pretty quickly, so that this way if I have to hurry up like that, I don't have to worry about it quite as much. That day, I didn't actually do that as much as I normally would. It's like, my kids were being really good at sleeping the entire time that I needed to work, so I got a little bit complacent. But it's alright, sometimes things just work out like that, it's all good. And it was a Friday, so Grandpa was gonna come over anyway, so I wasn't too worried about it. All was well. You can see here I'm going back and making some corrections to the upward turn, because some things weren't lining up quite right between the upward turn and the left turn here. So I kind of had to make some changes to get them to match up a little bit better. And now I should be able to make the changes that I wanted to over here and have them match in both directions. I haven't checked from the center in a little while, but that's okay. I'll do that a little bit later. I do not think I'm quite ready for that just yet. That's what makes corners so tricky. Gotta care about so many different directions. But I can see it's kind of all starting to come together. And I'm not too worried because the front bang does tend to be one of the harder ones. It's just very important to get it all right, and even beyond getting it all right, it is one of the more detailed strands. And certainly the most detailed mesh I made. I think it's the first one I did. So I wasn't tired yet. I was just willing to go all in. I was so excited to be working on this. Those were the days. I remember by the end of that week, because it took me like a week and a half or so to mesh all of this. I was just so tired by the end. So enthusiastic at the beginning, though. That's why a lot of the early meshes are very detailed. Also why I did the hair early, Because I knew I'd probably get tired by the end. I know me. I know my nature. I know how I work. I've been doing all this long enough that I know what's gonna happen. And I can compensate for it to a degree. I've heard the question come from many different people of, why am I like this? Not me specifically, but the person talking. And I've always found that to be the wrong question to ask. So you can ask why you're like this, and I think it's worth looking into. But I think the more important thing is the acknowledgement, I am like this. This is what I'm like. And then you can say, okay, I'm like this, what do I do about it? It's gonna happen, be ready. So here, with my art process, it's like, I know I'm gonna get a little bit tired by the end, and I'm gonna get a little bit sloppier. How do I compensate for that? And one of the ways I actually did do that is by just sleeping on what I want to do. Like when I finish a picture, I do not allow myself to upload it same day. I always, always, always do it the next day. This way I can get one last look at it. And in the area where my brain was lazy, I can go fix it when my brain is feeling a little bit less lazy. That's why I pretty much always find something. But that only happens because I know my brain is like this. I know it's gonna happen. There is no escaping it. So I prepare instead of fret. Sometimes it's all you can do. Sometimes you can change those bad habits, but at least for me, some of those, it's like, it's never gonna change. I just have to know that it's gonna happen and be ready for it. Look it straight in the face and say hello again. Decisions that myself keeps making. Good to see you again. And be ready to take them down. Man, I really... okay. Gotta be a little bit more careful through here. Okay. Just had a weird thing going on in there. That's okay. I made it better. So I'm just trying to work my way through the bottom of this highlight here, where it kind of goes down into this strand here. I'm not satisfied with how it looks, so I'm trying to figure out how to fix it all up. Make it look much nicer. Easier said than done. There's a lot going on over here. But I really, really did not like how it moved. From down here to up here. It's just, I still don't. The area right here on the mesh is a little bit tricky to deal with. Because it's like I can't pull this too far over. How does this actually look? Because it goes straight, right? Yeah, it's straight. Then over here, it's a little straighter than I might have wanted it there, but that's probably the best I can do, and I don't think it looks bad. But if I push it too far over that way... yeah, if I push this vertex too far over to the left, things happen over here, and it's bad. Let me just get rid of this for a second. We're gonna hide that. See how far I can get away with pushing that over. Okay. Maybe it was on the other layer that I was seeing the bad thing. Yes, indeed. Okay. That's good to know. I was worrying for nothing. There we go. I thought it was pulling the bang like the edge of it too far over to the side there and was making it look weird, but turns out I was seeing something on a different layer. That happens sometimes. That's why I hid it, so this way I could see just a little bit better. Now, I felt like it was... some parts were sliding downward a little bit, so I'm gonna bring these vertices upward a little bit. And then I'm gonna try to make the triangles look nice and smooth. So when I made the mesh, I tried to make very neat isosceles triangles, so that this way things would move well. And when things are starting to look a little bit strange, I think it's important to remember just how particular I was when I was making these meshes in the first place. That way I know that I can just try to align the triangles once more and try to make them nice isosceles triangles again. And that ends up fixing a lot of my problems. I talk about this a lot, but it comes up a lot. So, very, very important. Always remember how I created the initial mesh here. Can never forget. It's so easy to forget, but very important to remember. Yeah, there we go. That looks so much better. Alright. So now I need to check something here, because when I slide over to the left here, so from the up view to the upper left, this shadow isn't lining up quite right. You can see it's kind of shifting upward a little bit, and that's no good. So is it doing the same here, or is it in the right place? I think it's in the right place there, so that means it's in the wrong place on this turn. As much as I do try to get the 4 cardinal directions looking as good as possible, sometimes it's just not possible to avoid making any changes to them. Because there's just some information that does not come to me until I start working on the corners themselves. Alright, looks mostly okay. Let me just make a couple of other fine adjustments here. That bang has the bang on the upward direction has a couple of things that I want to fix on it too. It's looking like we might be poking at this bang for a little while. It's okay, like I said, it is probably the most complicated strand. Like the hair over here has a bunch of complexity on it, but I think this probably has the most stuff on it. The most stuff to worry about. So it's only natural that it takes the longest. Alright, yeah, that's looking much better. And it's much more consistent over here now, too. Yeah. Got some stuff to deal with at the top here, but I don't really want to work on that until I start worrying about how these 2 strands connect to each other. And right now, I think I still got some work to do with this part underneath here. A part that is perhaps not as complex as the front bang, but nonetheless extremely important. These areas that are just front and center I want to give them all the attention I can muster. They need it. So much. Needy little layers. I've been thinking more about a potential comic idea that I've had. I've mentioned it in passing. Still not a lot that I'm quite ready to talk about, but I do want to talk about the process a little bit. Before now, most of my writing was relegated to role-playing, which I don't take especially seriously. For me, it's just a fun little hobby that I have been enjoying for a while. But it's pretty much the only way that I've written characters in the past. And I gotta say, having control of everything is way different than role-playing. I'm just like, oh man, I can do whatever I want. It's scary. It's the blank canvas all over again. Except I don't know how to scribble on this one yet. Because when I start a new picture, most of the time the first thing I do is just kind of draw some random scribbles. I find it a lot less intimidating when there's all these shapes all over the place, and even if I clear them all, 99% of the time I do, that just having them there kind of gets my hand loose and helps get me started. Don't know how to do that with writing yet. So it's been an adventure. But I do think I have reconnected with why I wanted to write that story in the first place. I just read some advice that if you're finding yourself getting stuck, just remind yourself what made you want to write this particular story in the first place, as opposed to whatever other ones that you could potentially be doing. And, like, what's your favorite part of it? Which part's the best? And so I was able to do that, and I've been able to generate a bunch of ideas from there. But man, having full control over everything is just really scary. Like, my forte is forum roleplay, which I think gives you a little bit more control than a lot of other, more like tabletop roleplay does. Because a lot of sites don't use dice, even though personally I think they should. Maybe not dice, but just general systems. I do think it makes for better storytelling. But a lot of that comes from surrendering a degree of control in order to make unexpected and interesting things happen. And man, can't really do that when I'm writing by myself. It's like, I guess you can. I have heard that some authors do roll dice to determine outcomes. But I'm not sure if I like that for this kind of medium. It's like, I get it, because having full control is really scary. But at the same time, having full control gives you options that you don't have otherwise for, like, themes and messaging and that kind of thing. Even if you're not going to be really pretentious about it. And I've read some stories by people that roll dice, and sometimes their plot threads just kind of never get resolved. One in particular I can think of is there was a web novel that I read a long time ago called Worm. It was a superpower setting. And I believe the author said that he rolled dice to determine a lot of things during these, like, big monster battles. And I could tell. One character died rather unceremoniously without any of his stuff being resolved at all. And while maybe that's true to real life, I don't think it makes for very satisfying storytelling. So it's just been really interesting to think about, of just, oh gosh, how do I do this? How do I make the transition from writing with people to writing by myself? And what do I even want to write, man? And me being the artist I am, half of it is like, okay, but how do I want it to look? Because, well, like I said, I want it to be a comic, not a book. Because I like art. Drawing is fun. It's only natural that I'd want to include that in all of this. But when it comes to comics, I do think that the story is just way more important than the art. I can't think of any comics off the top of my head that got popular because it had good art, but the story was bad. Like, they kept reading because they thought the art was pretty. But I can think of several that didn't have good art, at least for a while. Like, in long-running webcomics, a lot of the time the art does get better. But yes, I can think of several that have bad art, even all the way through. But a good story. So I do think the story is much more important, which is why I'm focusing on it more. But I can't help it. Art is fun. I want to know how to make it look. I want to have a good time there. So I have thought about that quite a bit too. Not much I can act on right now. Inktober still taking up most of my art time here. And then I have some other things that I want to draw, but you can bet that there's going to be some science coming up on the community tab once I have some time again. Gonna do all the style experiments. I've been able to do a few kind of experiments with Inktober, and I do think it has given me some ideas for what I want to do. Because comic art is interesting. Like, it's not quite as intense as animation. If I need to draw things like frame by frame. But at the same time, it still requires me to draw the characters over and over and over again. And not just that, I have to be able to do it quickly. Very, very quickly. I'm not sure if I'll be able to update weekly, but even if I don't want it to take months to finish one strip. Like, the story would never finish. And that would be sad. So, no matter what I do have to be able to work quickly. And that has made thinking about how I want it to be stylistically a very interesting one to me. Style, I think, is just a very interesting topic in general. You can do so much with it. It's... as always in art, it's like... you are the artist. You have full control over everything. You can do whatever you want. It's your universe. And it will bend to every single one of your whims, provided you are stubborn enough to make it. So many little decisions happening there. But on the bright side, it's all coming together. Maybe someday I'll stop being so shy about talking about it. Maybe someday. Okay, but good news is I think I've got this underneath part here, all of this, looking good. I just kind of need to make the final adjustments on the front bang that covers it. But I think it's looking good. I'm quite pleased. Been going back and forth quite a lot. Let's take a look from way out here. Yeah, I still see a little wrinkle right there. But overall, it's coming together. Oh, I'm so happy. So very happy. I've said it before, but any day I can do some art is a good day. Alright, I think I got rid of that little wrinkle. So now when I zoom out, everything should look very nice. Yeah, look at that raise up and show us everything that's going underneath here. And how everything just becomes so much more prominent as I go to the side there. Still feel like I have a little wrinkle in this underneath part right there. But everything else is looking very nice. I'm very happy. Very pleased. And it's okay. It's only a little wrinkle. I think I can get it. Might have to consult the mesh though, because that's quite an interesting way that this is all moving around. Oh my. Okay. I would explain it. So this was like way down here. Should be fine now. Let's take a look. Might be a little bit wrinkly still. That's always the trouble with some of this. So I'm gonna do some very intense staring and see what happens here. Okay. I know what I must do. I have seen the problem. And now that it is seen, it cannot escape from me, so... let us fix this problem. And make everything a little bit better. Yeah, that area still doesn't want to cooperate with me. I'm not used to this underneath part. Being so ornery. Okay. I'm gonna consult the mesh again and see what it has to say for itself here. Do it from both directions. It might give me some ideas on what's going wrong here. Okay. Well, part of it, I think, is just that this corner needs to come a little bit higher here. After all, the problem may not necessarily be in the new view that I'm working on. The problem could be anywhere. But I believe in the mesh. It always seems to have some good ideas for me. Now I just gotta make sure that there's no skin showing out through here. So I'm gonna try to bring this down as much as I can. I do have to make sure that all the skin is covered. So I don't actually have very much room for that, alas. Okay, so I think the next part is going to be to figure out why certain parts look like they're kind of compressing together. Is it the outer vertices or the inner ones? I think it's the inner ones. I think this one is supposed to be a little further up here. Yeah, that was probably like half the problem there. Okay. There's a bit of squirming in there. Let's see how noticeable it is from out here. Alright. Alright, it's getting there. It's getting there. It's not surprising that there's a little bit of a shenanigan here, because this area is being stretched quite a bit in order to get this particular look. Being really, really stretched out. It has a lot more ground to cover than it did way over here. It's like I drew a bunch of extra, of course, because I was preparing for this. But even so, there's still a lot of changes going on here. And it's only natural for there to be some growing pains when there's a lot of changes happening. It just reminds me my daughter had her first growing pain that she was able to tell us about, at least. She just woke up one night and her legs were hurting and she didn't know what was happening. Alas, poor tiny human. Just something bad randomly happening. Or at least what appears to be random to the mind of a tiny one. I just gave her a hug. Got her all nice and cozy back in bed. And she was happy, so... I swear, being very young just seems rough. Don't have any control of your emotions. Don't know what's going on. Don't have very much control over your life. Life is hard. I'm always very sympathetic for the tiny ones. Alright. But I do think I have this underneath part looking the way I want it to. I think it looks great. I mean, when I go from this upper one to the upper left here, I think it really does look like her head is turning. I'm very happy with that. Looks quite nice. Right now I'm just looking for a little bit of stretching in the bangs. I do feel like this strand right here is being stretched a little bit. And oh boy, that's going to be a bit harder than I thought it was going to be to push up. But I must. I probably don't want that kind of brush. Let's do this one. This one moves them all together more, and it's a little bit better about keeping things together. Preventing a lot of the stretching and other stuff that I have to deal with when using the brush. Yeah, there we go. That's a bit better. How are the other strands doing here? I think they're doing well. So I'll call that good. I think the bang is looking really nice. Alright, so I think I got the top of the side bang working. There's still something being stretched out down here. If you look closely at kind of where this highlight is and where it transitions from purple to white, you can see it kind of gets stretched downward a little bit. But I don't think I'm quite ready to fix that yet. I think I want to focus more on these upper areas by the roots first. I always like to get them first. It gives me a nice, solid anchor point to work from. So I suppose the next step is to connect the tunnel. Get that looking the way I want it. So that means it's time to start on the connecting hair layer, as I decided to call it. That's just what it reminded me of a hair that connects, like, this side to this side. Just kind of goes through. It's like I have to name my layer something, so I just kind of pick something and roll with it. It doesn't really matter what it is, as long as I know what I'm talking about. So here I'm focusing on really getting the shape of this tunnel right, because I think that this side needs to be a little bit more closed off than it was, like, over here. because her head is turning, and so we don't see quite as much as what's underneath here. So that's the goal. We shall see how much I can do. But I remember being able to do a bunch of pretty cool stuff on the left head turn, so I should be able to get it here to an extent. Right now we're making things kind of wrinkly, but that's fine. Just getting my ideas down for the time being. Not here to smooth things out yet. It's like I might here and there if I feel like it, but right now it's just not that important. What's important is that it properly connects both to this front bang here and has that more closed-off shape that I want. I think this shape is looking quite nice. Let's see how that looks in action. Okay, probably want it a little bit rounder there. You can see on the left view here, it connects a little bit further to the side. And so I would like to keep that. So I actually want this a little bit more over here. And then I probably do want it to be slightly more round than what I have on the lower layer, on the left head turn here. So this way it looks like it's opening up a little bit as she turns her head upward. I think that's consistent with how the turn would look. Just see a little bit more from underneath. It's like less from underneath from this direction because her head is turning, but more because her head is turning upward. More from this direction. A little bit more, but definitely the right idea. I already really like how it looks, so I'm definitely on the right track. I'm very happy. Okay. Just gonna keep testing it until I am satisfied. But I think this is looking pretty good. Gotta fix up some of the other shadows around it, but that's okay. That's normal. I'm actually gonna get that underneath bit first. 'Cause I think I just need to pull him down just a little bit here. Yeah. And then a little bit to the left. Just a little bit. Gonna be very, very gentle with my movements here. Doesn't need to go that far. It's almost in the right place. There we go. Yeah, look at that. Look at it swinging around. Looks great. I'm very happy. Today is a good day. Alright, so now, I suppose, it's time to connect the bang to this part. Where these connect. So as in the upward view here, I want to make this shadow a little bit thinner, so that this way it looks like it's being covered up by parts of her hair. So I kind of want to match what I have going on over here. And it looks like I'm pretty close to that, actually. Which means that I can kind of afford to mess with the shape here a little bit. Get this little shadow here looking a little bit better. Looked like he was taking a little bit of a nosedive there. That's just no good. So I think I have the overall shape of this tunnel looking just the way I want it. So a few tweaks here and there in order to accommodate some of the other shadows around it. I don't think will be the end of the world. I think it should be fine. Alright, let's go back over to the front bang and really get these guys unwrinkled and exactly as they should be. How's that? Is that good? Yeah, that's connecting very well, I think. Ooh, it's actually a little bit high. Never noticed how much things were being raised while I was doing all that. Okay, that I have to pay attention to. It's too bad because, I mean, it looks like it's going pretty well from this angle, so it's entirely possible that this angle is the one that's wrong. Let's take a look here. This is a decision I should not make lightly. Which one of these gets changed? I do think it's this one. I think it's this one that needs to be changed a little bit. Alright, then we very gently pull some stuff around here. It's too bad I liked that shape. But it's okay. I think I can get something very similar, just in a slightly better spot. So if it's being raised, that means I need to lower everything on this strand just a little bit here. Hopefully it will line up with the left head turn. I'm actually going to test how it lines up with the top head turn first. Get everything lining up there the way I want it to first. And then I'll worry about the other one. I think if I try to do both at once here, both will just look bad. I'd prefer if that didn't happen. Alright, okay, I actually think that lines up pretty well with everything. Most excellent. I was worried that I was going to have to do a little bit more work there. But no, I think it all worked out. It's nice when that happens, and everything just goes my way. Doesn't happen as often as I'd like, but oh, when it does, I am very happy. Like I said, today is just a very good day. Just a very good day indeed. I look forward to seeing what I do today. It's like normally today's the day that I'd take my kids to the park, but they're both apparently kind of sick. So I'll probably just stay home and snuggle with them instead. It's okay, I think they'll like that. And let's see, I think I want a few more of these little shadows to show in this underneath area. So just little tweaks. We'll probably be doing a lot of that as I work through this area. Because I do feel like a lot of the things that really bring out the best parts of all this are just those tiny little tweaks. Like, man, I wish I had some old screenshots of what everything looked like before I made this change on the left head turn. because it looks so much better now. I guess I could probably fish some up from some old videos. But I really do like it. It makes me very happy. Okay. So before I do this top part, I do think I'm going to finish this middle part. I'm still kind of deciding how I want to handle the rest of it here. Do you think some parts need to come a little bit further over? I do not want to overdo it, though. I don't want to make it look like it's being stretched out. Don't want to stretch out your little vertices. That sounds painful. I should be happy. Happy little vertices. Just moving around, finding new places to go. Lining up with everything else. Maintaining the specific order in this world that I have created. Alright, I think I did slide it over just a little bit too much. It's a little bit too bad, because I do kind of like the way it looks there. But it looks bad in motion, and the motion is ultimately the more important part. I must always keep the motion in mind. But at the same time, there's still some stuff in the front bang here that does feel like it's being slid over just a little bit here. So let's see if I can pull it back a little bit. Using the brush did it a little bit too much. So I'm trying to be a little bit gentler, just grabbing the vertices myself. Very, very gentle. I don't need to move too much. Their home isn't far from now, or isn't far from where they are. I just need to help them find it. Okay. So today was a lot of very detailed work. But I think I got quite a lot of it. Now I want to adjust this thing right here. And I think for that, I actually want to bring this strand back. I should make sure it's all in the right place anyway. How's it doing? I think I need to lower it just a little bit. I was thinking for a second on whether or not the problem that I was seeing was in the top head turn or this upper left. But I do think it'll look a little bit better if the one in the upper left just kind of comes down here just a tiny little bit. And then I just need to clean it all up. Just get everything looking nice and neat. No little bits stretched out, no little bits all compacted. Just everything nice, neat, with perfect triangles. Ah yes, very important to get the triangles looking nice. Can never forget that. Okay. It looks like I need to fix a little bit on the end there, but I want to check that curl before I do anything else. Alright, I'm gonna zoom out far away. Okay, this time I actually do think the problem is with the upward head turn. The highlight here got sent downward a little bit somehow. So I'm gonna send it on back up. Just move all those little vertices along and all should be well. Yeah, there we go. That's better. So much better. Okay. Now I'm going to clean up the base a little bit. And I just know this little pink spot is almost part of, like, this little strand that I separated, so that's why I wanted to do this little strand first. Because they kind of go together. They work together. They are friends. Can't really do one without the other. Because they just want to stick together no matter what. I always like telling these little stories about the vertices. For one, it helps keep me sane, but for two, I do think it kind of helps me. Helps me get through it. Figure out where things should go. Gives me a better idea of where things are relative to each other and all that. Because if they're friends, they want to be together. If they're friends, they want to do everything together. So it makes sense in my brain. And so, I'll keep doing it. Alright, there I just had to check to make sure that the problem that I was seeing was on that strand or a different one, and indeed it was a different one. So I think this little strand is looking alright. Now I can worry about this pink part. It's been bothering me for a little while. So now I can finally help it find its home. So let's see, where do you need to go, little pink part? You kind of sit next to the strand here, so let's get you in there. Let's just get him in there. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Just a few tweaks here and there, but I think it's all pretty okay. Something like that. Lower this one a little bit too. Yeah, there we go. Just enough so that it's peeking out behind its little friend here. Peeking out behind that little strand. Yeah. Oh. It's getting really lowered over here, though. Well, I can't have that. So I'm not sure if the problem is with the top or with this one. Let me see if I can push this up just a little bit here and still get a good result. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fine. I just need to bring this little one right there. Get all those shadows in the right place, but everything else I thought was fine. There we go. And then I think there might be a little piece of the head showing through here, so let me just make a tiny little tweak here. And there we go. There we go. Okay, yeah, I think I'm liking how this is all shaking out. As always, there's just, you know, little tweaks here and there that need to be done. But the overall idea seems very, very solid. And that may be the last thing I do for today. Let's see, do I feel like trying to tackle the top part of the connecting hair? It actually doesn't look too bad. So sure, let's do that real quick. Just where this top part kind of connects. So let's see, how should that be? It's like it's already fairly close. So just a matter of getting the last little bit in there. Looks like that line got thinned out a little bit in the top view here. Yeah. So anything that looks weird is a problem with the top view here. Okay, perhaps this was a little bit more complicated than I thought it was. It's alright. I'll do a little bit of work on it. If I don't finish it, I'll finish it tomorrow. Future me's got me covered. Future me's good at that. Okay. So once I get the thickness of this little shadow area right, everything there should look pretty good. It just needs to be a little bit thicker through here. Vertices need a little bit more personal space. It's fine. They can have it. It should make it a little bit better from here too. Yeah, there we go. I think that's much better. Okay. So now I can kind of look into that corner there. Figure out how it connects to the next bit of hair here. I think it's actually almost right. I don't think I'll have to do very much to it. Just like something like this. And then on the connecting hair side, raise this just a little. And that should do it, maybe. There's little things sticking out the front bang there. Okay, it just... from this weird vertex that exists. So something like that? Yes. Yes, indeed. I think they're connecting reasonably well. Now I just need to get the shape of the connecting hair the way I want it. But that will be for tomorrow. So thank you all for coming. If you'd like me to take a look at your own creative projects, whether that be art, writing, coding, game design, or any creative pursuit you can think of, feel free to message or at me on the social media platform of your choice, and I will take a look and maybe leave some comments. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.